Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, fact or fiction, who did what, where, when and why? These are all the questions that surrounds the Goodluck Jonathan regime, but certainly there are a lot of names that have been highlighted as the poster names for the corruption goings on of that regime, because that regime of course is heavily aligned to corruption. And one of the key names of course that is at the forefront of this corruption narrative of the Goodluck Jonathan regime is Diezani Alison-Madueke. So of course we all know this. So now she's come out into this public space to have her say. So guys, with that I bring you this. I did not steal Nigeria's money, Diezani Alison-Madueke cries out in a new interview, denies being intimate with Chris Ire, Kola Aluko, Ogbehi Sanomi and others. So now that's the headline. So it's a thorough interview, so you have to sit down for this one because this one will go into details. So again, the headline: I did not steal Nigeria's money, Diezani Alison-Madueke cries out in new interview, denies being intimate with Chris Ire, there's AIRE, Kola Aluko, and then Igor Sanomi. So Igor Sanomi. So these are some names that I'm not familiar with, but let's familiarize ourselves with those names by delving into the story. Diezani Alison-Madueke has denied claims made by Buhari-led government and the EFCC that she embezzled Nigerians' money while she was in office. The former Minister of Petroleum Resources had a no-holds-barred interview with media personality Dele Mahmood, where she refuted claims that she embezzled Nigeria's money whilst in office. Mrs. Diezani denied allegations that she made all magnates like Chris Ire, Kola Aluko, Tonye Cole, Ogi Sanomi. So I struggle with that name, so let me just perfect it. Ogi Sanomi and many others rich after she had intimate relationships with them. She made it clear that she is a married woman and was never in such habits. The former minister denied vehemently allegations that $20 billion disappeared from the coffers of NNPC when she was in office. She dared anyone with proof to come forward to substantiate the claims that she stole money from the Nigerian government. She went on to express her displeasure at Nigerians who have vilified and attacked her person, despite the fact that she used her office to make many of them rich and not the foreigners as was in the past. She pointed out that before her tenure, the petroleum industry was exclusively to enrich foreigners and a few Nigerians, but when she came in, she identified Nigerians who could do the job and decided to empower them. She wondered why she would be vilified for this. In the interview, the former minister denied claims of having a running battle with former First Lady Patience Jonathan. She said she had much respect for Mrs. Jonathan as she was the wife of her boss. She also refuted claims that one of her sisters got intimate with former President Goodluck Jonathan and had children for him. So here's a text of some of what took place in the interview. So these are the questions and the answers that she gave to them. Is it true that a sister of yours had a kid or kids for President Jonathan? And this was the answer: that is totally untrue, as I don't have any such sister or relative, she said. She wondered how people could fabricate such blatant lies. So the interviewer asked a follow-on question. It was said that you and the former First Lady, Dame Patience Jonathan, were in permanent conflict. Why is it so? She responded that their relationship was cordial enough and she gave the former First Lady the respect she would give the wife of her boss. She went further to say, what people don't know is that we've been family friends for long. My mom, Mrs. Beatrice Agama, has always played the the role of a godmother in the Niger Delta, and all the militants love and respect her. I come from a royal and privileged background and lacked nothing. She said she was unaware of certain insinuations about an intimate relationship with the former president, but she never bothered her head about them because some people had made up their mind to spread rather those ugly tales about her. If you are in the corridors of power, you must expect anything, including mud and even bricks, being thrown at you. Another question: you have been linked to so many young men who made so much money from you and later absconded or turned against you. What was between you and Chris Aye, Kola Loko, Jide Omokore, Tonye Cole, Dapo Abiodun, Wale Tinubu, Ogi, Sanomi, and others? I queried. Madam Diezani's response was calm and unruffled. I vehemently deny any intimacy or liaison with any of these gentlemen. She noted that she is happily married, like most of them are happily married, and asserted that she is not the scarlet woman that people paint her to be. She sees those rumors as insults on accomplished women who cannot be seen in sensitive positions without running rioters, with some men. She said it was important to put in context how she met most of them. I was the chairman, but that should be chairperson. I was the chairman of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, and I did my job to the best of my ability and intentions. My boss and I were determined to empower Nigerians, especially the young ones who had the brains and the guts to dare. She pointed out that her firm belief and desire to empower Nigerians stemmed from the manner that she and her parents and siblings were unceremoniously dumped out of Shell Camp, where her father worked and lived while she was young. The memory was apparently traumatic, as I could notice her wiping her eyes with another handkerchief. She said, "I remember that day vividly. It was definitely one of the worst days of my life. We were not even allowed to finish eating before they hurriedly packed our belongings, threw them into a truck, and drove us into an uncertain, unknown future." She continued, "I was determined that what my father fought for, which was to ensure that Nigerians had greater say in the scheme of things in Shell, and thus in the petroleum industry, would be championed and achieved by me in government." She noted that in every government, some people must land the big jobs, which every human being would love to have. She said, "I chose to empower mostly Nigerians and took the power away from foreigners who used to dominate the sector. That was why we pushed for the Nigerian Content Bill, which mercifully we got through. So you cannot expect some forces not to hate me, but I was shocked that Nigerians themselves were ready to crucify me, mostly on rumors and not verified facts. Most leaders before me have suffered a similar fate, so I took some comfort from that experience." She added that people seem to forget that she is happily married to Rear Admiral Alison-Madueke and would not do anything to jeopardize her marriage or smear herself in the eyes of her husband, children, and family. She also said that some of these men were unknown to her until she became a minister, and that although in some cases they later enjoyed a cordial relationship with her, it was no more than the kind of relationship she enjoyed with other successful Nigerian businessmen who respected and admired her for the way she was bringing Nigerians to the forefront of the industry. It is unfortunate that things didn't work perfectly all the time as expected, and as a leader, I take the blame for those imperfections, but I am certainly certainly not a demon as portrayed. I have no doubt that I served my nation well. The reason my colleagues at OPEC supported me despite the opposition from my own people. I still maintain that level of relationship with my former colleagues despite not being in government. When asked why she is so controversial, she answered, "Controversy has nothing to do with your qualification or performance. As a matter of fact, people often hate you for knowing so much and for being efficient and confident, which they mistake for arrogance. We had to confront so many challenges, including oil theft and general insecurity, but we did very well, even if we did not succeed 100%. I must say that some of our own people delivered responsibly, whilst a few of them breached the faith and wasted the opportunity handed to them by my boss, President Jonathan. Unfortunately, no one ever remembers the things that went right, but everyone remembers and tend to emphasize the things that went wrong. We soon moved the discussion to the many allegations of financial impropriety under her tenure, especially the alleged disappearance of $20 billion and other wasteful spending authorized by her. She observed that she could not go into any real detail because of the criminal investigation in Nigeria and England, as well as civil case here. However, she told me she would try and provide general details about these matters because it was important to shed some light on her own involvement from the vantage point of someone actually in government who believes these things simply cannot happen. She was visibly angry at the mention of the 20 billion. If there is one issue I must pursue in this world, it is the biggest lie of this money. How can $20 billion disappear just like that? Where did it disappear to? Is it possible that such an amount will not be traceable? This is more painful coming from someone I considered a good friend who should appreciate the gravity of such allegation. I challenge anyone to come forward with facts showing that I stole government money or public money. I've never stolen Nigeria's money. Rather, I worked hard to halt the rampant business of round-tripping when I brought in Reginald Stanley to clean up the place. I requested for a list of defaulters. There were about 92 of them, and I made sure we sanctioned them. You can imagine the threats to my life, but I was ready to defend the economic interest of my country. In fact, we were able to reduce the oil subsidy by about half. Nobody has applauded our effort. There were those who said the then governor of the central bank must have been angry at me because of the way the presidency treated him. In all honesty, he was being blocked from seeing the president by some of Oga's people, that is the presidential aides, but it had nothing to do with me. I was the one who even told Oga about the development, and Oga said he would meet him in London in one of his trips. Unfortunately, my boss fell ill and was rushed to King Edward's Hospital, and the meeting was aborted. Sanusi and I had been friends. There was no way I would have done anything bad to him. He even came to my house to inform me about his interest in heading the African Development Bank, and we discussed about 2 hours. I promised to support him, and I spoke to Oga about it. We were together on the reconciliation committee that looked into the accounts of NNPC. Yes, there were gaps, but not on the alarming scale being circulated. Makafi, the former governor of Kaduna State, did a thorough job. You know, he's a very sound accountant. So now, on the allegation that that is Alison-Madueke, Diezani rather. So on the allegation that she owns choice properties everywhere, this is how she responded. "It is so sad that anyone could say such about me. Let me say something to you. I live with my husband in the same house we've lived since we married in 1999. Ask anyone who knows us. Our house in Abuja was bought in 2007 by my husband, and as an architect and lover of interior decor, I did it up to our own taste. It is not over the top because I have good taste and appreciate bargains. I shop in regular shops like B&Q to do up the places where I live. Anyone who tells you that I have houses anywhere should feel free to publish them." That was how they said I bought an expensive property in Vienna. I went to court and won the case. I never saw the house before except in pictures. The house I stay in London is rented. As a woman, I love to look good. Some of my clothes and jewelries are often dumped on me by those I buy from, and I pay them when I can. She went on to explain that virtually all the transactions in respect of which allegations of corruption are being leveled against her went through due diligence, and that the group managing director of NNPC was actively involved in ensuring that best international practices were maintained. She added that her involvement in the conclusion of these transactions was limited, and that some of the contracts that had been executed before she became Minister of Petroleum were also being attributed to her. In some other cases, she only got details after the contract had been concluded, when approached by some businessmen who complained about the terms. She usually admonished them to forego the contract if they felt they were not profitable and seek other ventures within the industry. But she emphasized that her boss neither discriminated against nor favored anyone. She claimed some of those who benefited the most were even in opposition, and mentioned how a renowned opposition leader and vocal critic of the government at the time met her on about 3 occasions to discuss his interest in the oil industry. "My boss did not want Nigerians to suffer because of politics, so we agreed to offer some certain support to a company we knew was owned by the opposition once we were satisfied they controlled the market substantially and have what it takes to deliver the goods nationwide. We were that tolerant." So now this is whatever her name is, Alison-Madueke. What's her first name again? Diezani Alison-Madueke, now coming out feeling the need to clear the air and to clear her name, because now any and everything is being lumped and launched at this woman. Now don't get me wrong, I am not saying in any way that this woman is absolved of anything. It's almost certain that she did her own share of looting, but I too have never really bought that narrative that $20 billion just disappeared from the Nigerian coffers. I mean, do you know what it takes to move $20 billion? It's almost an impossibility to move $20 billion without an audit trail, because it's such a vast amount of money. And even if that money is moved at a staggered stage, or in a staggered phase rather, you cannot move $20 billion out of an economy without a seismic movement and an impactful imprint showing as to the movement of that money. It's just too fanciful and too fanciful, and really they've not done anything to prove these things since. And you'll notice that $20 billion storyline has pretty much petered out a lot since Buhari came into power, because of course their own level of looting is on a different scale, because Nigeria's borrowing was about 18 billion or so when these people came in 2015. Nigeria's borrowing is in excess of $18 billion now, so $80 billion now. So you can see that they have taken it to a new spectrum, and there's nothing on the ground to show what they are doing with all of this money. So but we'll soon find out soon enough when we have a new government who of course will then probe these people, because that's what tends to happen. A lot of people have come before Buhari that thought that they could steal and walk away, but all they go and ask Abacha, you know, it's still today we're still chasing every cover that guy stole. So now this is now the going on, and this lady has now felt the need to come out in the public space to clear her name. Of course, she's not cleared her name, but she's just added details to some of the goings on, to some of the atrocities, to some of the wrongdoings, to some of the corruptions that's been leveled against her. And she's saying that, look, a lot of these things are too fanciful, that there's just too far-fetched to be true. But then, of course, she's not going to come out in an interview and say, I confess, of course, I stole all this money and had all these affairs with all these young men. So that is her own narrative, but then the accusations have now been put to her, and this is the way she's chosen to answer them. So what you are making of this situation is what my interest is, and I want you to share those thoughts with me in the comment section. But before you come share those thoughts with me in the comment section, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. Bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you are making of all this goings on in the comment section. So I leave you here, carry on with you there, but here I say peace.